Hey guys! Despite all the difficulties that came by the way, the long-awaited 22nd episode of Skibidi Toilet Multiverse series is finally out, and it turned out to be amazingly long and full of details. And today, I'm going to give you a full analysis of it, where I managed to find every secret and Easter egg possible. And also, I tell you what movies are being referenced in this episode, and what was that huge Skibidi monster that appeared right in front of the agents? Get your tea and snacks ready and prepare to have an amazing time. Let's go! In the first couple of frames, we are being shown a lot of computers. Also, right in the middle of it, there is a stand with a huge red button that can be noticed. In addition to it, next to the computers there is a table with a large black suitcase on its surface. Considering what can be actually found in this base, I assume that this may be some kind of nuclear suitcase from the real life, which can be used to launch nuclear weapons. So, it seems a bit strange to me that it was just left here by someone and not taken away with them. You can also see a chair lying on the floor. All this suggests that whoever was running these computers then left this place in a hurry for some reason unknown. So, at this time outside of this room, there is a fierce battle going on between the Skibidi army and the Alliance forces. In this shot on the left, you can see the cameraman with a big white spot on his back. And his behavior is quite strange because he just stands there and does nothing. But we will also come back to him a bit later. Next, right across the battlefield runs a speakerman dressed in a blue shirt and a white tie. He seems to be different from the speakermen who appeared earlier, as they were wearing white shirts and red ties, and only the guy from the 13th episode was similar to him in a sense of the color of his shirt. But their ties were different as well. Besides speakerman, this shot features a Skibidi toilet with the new toilet development. You just look at that. It's a clock built into the headphones, so I'll be calling this piece of technology clock phones from now on. It seems to me that not all the Skibidi are dumbasses after all, and some of them can actually come up with interesting things. Or there is an option that all these developments were not really made by the Skibidi, but by another race that opposes the Alliance united with the Skibidi. But we haven't seen the proof of it yet. The cameraman, who is standing right next to this toilet, swings his arm around and provides some good old smacky slap to this Skibidi. But the damn speakerman was blocking the whole view at this moment, so we didn't have an opportunity to clearly see it. Next, we can see the other modified Skibidi that were present at another Skibidi base in episode 13. There is the toilet with a minigun, as well as the poison toilet that sprayed the Hulk's farts right in the face of the cameraman, which simply killed him. And then you can see another Skibidi suddenly appearing in the vortex of smoke. The interesting thing about it is that it's a helicopter Skibidi. And as we know, helicopters can't fly as fast as UFO Skibidi. But besides the helicopter blades, this toilet has some kind of installation at the bottom, which I can't really identify because of all that smoke. But apparently, it's the device that allows him to fly as fast as UFO Skibidi toilets. On top of that, he has yellow headphones, as well as a cannon, and also something that remotely looks like hands. I believe that this is the new generation of Skibidi helicopters, which we will see later in larger numbers. When the camera pans up a bit, the whole battlefield unfolds before our eyes, so we can see how the battle is taking place in some kind of box, which is just a part of a larger complex sector. Right behind the wall of this box, there is a huge blast of flame that can be noticed, and I guess that it's the exhaust of some huge generator underground that powers this whole base. We move back to the battlefield and see the cameraman trying to do a somersault, but unfortunately, he slips, and then he pretends to be fallen down because he was shot. But we know the actual truth here. Not that far from him sits another cameraman, and he just sits there holding his head like the cameraman from episode 59 of the original Skibidi toilet series. I wonder if he lost his friend in this battle or if he's just sick of it all. Above the Skibidi's base, we can observe one of the agents riding the UFO toilet and giving him some good smacky slaps right in the air. And finally, after an uppercut, the Skibidi couldn't stand it any longer, so he falls to the ground, and due to that, his Skibidi head flies off. Besides that, we can also see that this agent turns out to be the black speakerman from the original series, whom we were also lucky enough to see in the 8th episode of the Multiverse series from Dom Studios' channel. He tries to destroy this Skibidi with his knife and speakers, but Skibidi manages to hide behind his shield. And at this point, the toilet helicopter with yellow headphones flies up once again, so we get an opportunity to take a better look at him. If we compare him to the ordinary version of the helicopter, then he wouldn't look much different except for the pink crystal on his back. This exact crystal was like the one that we could see on the magnetic Skibidi Titan. So perhaps it is with the help of this crystal that he can accelerate to greater speeds, or teleport like our magnetic big boy already did. So the helicopter turns out to be not that useless at all, and he manages to fire a grenade launcher, thus destroying the Alliance's driving vehicle. And as a result of the explosion, we can see how the Black Speaker Man falls in such a funny way. Fortunately for him, he managed not to fall on the saw, which was just a few centimeters away from him, by the way, so he survived in the end. And I also want to draw your attention to this Skibidi here. I don't know exactly what he's glued to the ground with or what kind of material he's being made of, but the fact is that he wasn't thrown even a little bit, considering that he was right in the epicenter of the whole explosion. He just drove on as if nothing had happened, and look at this poor guy. He's head-butted himself right into the ground, and now his legs are acting as an antenna. Near the entrance to the Skibidi base, the toilet from the 13th episode passes by, but he only has clock phones on his head instead of a camera. And then suddenly, just out of nowhere, the POV gets stabbed in the back with a tentacle. But even considering that, he doesn't bite the dust, and he stays alive. But when the Skibidi is just about to fix this little misunderstanding, Drillman then comes to the agent's rescue with the nail gun from episodes 9 and 14. Similar to the Spider-Man's behavior patterns, he's holding onto the cable, and I can't even imagine now what this cable is being attached to. Apparently to a very high-flying airplane or something like this. He fires bolts at the Skibidi Strider, which then explodes, just like in episode 16. But unlike the bolts from this episode, these types of bolts don't actually turn to be red before exploding. Finally, the Drillman's helicopter arrives on the battlefield, and we can get a close-up look at its appearance. It has a lot of helicopter blades which this massive machine can stay in the air with. In the front, it has the huge drill, and I believe that in addition to flying, this machine is also capable of moving underground thanks to this drill. Underneath it has another smaller drill, which actually turns out to be a machine gun at the closer look. And on the side, there are more drills that can be noticed, which are probably also firearms. The huge drill man with tentacles that also have drills on them drops out of the helicopter a few seconds later. He looks like the drill man from episode 8. Maybe it's the same character. While he is destroying the other toilets, I want to draw your attention to this Skibidi with an interesting set of weapons. On the left side, he has a cannon, but it shoots not rockets, but spears. And on the right, he has something round, similar to a metal detector. None of this helps though, and Drillman flushes that toilet. At this moment, the Skibidi trio moves on to the Black Speaker Man, just like in the 15th episode. And I have a feeling that these guys are only needed for this bouncer Drillman to take another strike, exactly repeating this scene. Only this time, instead of the POV cameraman here stands the Speaker Man, but he doesn't order the black agent to move anywhere, and instead he just gives him a thumbs up. In these shots, we see one of the drillmen carrying the wounded agent out in his arms, and another drillman giving the cameraman indirect heart massage. And it's actually a pretty important detail. I used to think that all agents are pure robots, but the fact that this drillman is trying to pump him out in this way tells us that these guys are not robots after all, but cyborgs, which makes me worry about them even more. And while everyone is busy doing something important, either rescuing comrades or shooting back at enemies, this speakerman decides to have a dance break right in the middle of the battle. He seems to be enjoying everything that's going on here. The other two drillmen bully Skibidi. At start, the first drillman gives this Skibidi a smack, and then the second guy grinds him down with the hard jumping kick to the face.
This is Sparta!
Finally, the three agents finish their business and run straight to the button. But an even scarier monster than the ones we've already seen before appears in their path. His eyes look like bowling balls with a little paint on them. He opens his mouth and starts sucking the agents in, which is a reference to the original Skibidi toilet series. It has exactly the same principle of action. In addition, he grabs the agents with his claws that didn't fit in his mouth and dumps them directly into his container. And this scene reminded me of the scene from the movie called Resident Evil 3. But I can't show it to you in full on YouTube. I think anyone who has seen the movie will understand what I mean. In addition to the claws and the vacuum cleaner, The white toilet has many blades on wheels on his sides, as well as 6 circular saws, which he uses to fight in closer combat. Black Speaker Man can't stand it, and lets go of the column, going straight into this Skibidi's mouth. But the Titan Speaker Man comes to the rescue, saving him from being destroyed. What's interesting is that it was he who came to the rescue before he even finished his repair process. Where are all the agents and Titans that were in town in the 22nd episode, though? Anyway, Titan Speakerman aims his wrist cannon straight at the Skibidi and tries to shoot him. But considering how he was being fixed by the cameraman, something is bound to go wrong. Well, we saw in the previous episode everything these guys were capable of. The cannon fails to fire, to which the cameraman just waves his hands as if it was just another completely normal situation. Actually, these two reminded me of the movie Shrek 2, where Shrek stood on Giant Gingy's shoulder. Don't you think so, guys? Titan removes the last gun from his hand and shoves it directly into the mouth of the Skibidi monster while destroying it with a sound, as he already did in the 12th episode. But this time, thank God, we were not shown the insides of this Skibidi's ears, which, by the way, turned out to be not that simple. Immediately after his destruction, he got his timer starting off, followed by an explosion of incredible power that throws the Titan off the field. The speaker falls from a great height, breaks his neck, and goes straight to heaven. No, but I swear to you guys that I don't know how he managed to survive falling on his head. He's a pretty tough nut to crack, which is something that I cannot say about the other agents who were near the explosion. They got enveloped in flames, and this was the first part of the analysis of the 22nd episode. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the second part of my analysis, as well as other interesting videos. And that was me, Isotoilet. See ya!